There is a ton of speculation going around that ChatGPT is actually getting worse. Its ability to give unique text is dwindling, the code it's generating doesn't work nearly as good as it used to, and it just flat out can't do math. In this video, we're going to investigate this mystery and see if ChatGPT is really getting worse. And spoiler, I think it is. And it's not for the reason you may think. A recent Reddit thread noticed that it seemed like ChatGPT has been, quote, nerfed, equating it to being like talking to a friend, and then suddenly their IQ drops 20 points. You would notice a change in their behavior. And the thread goes on to mention that it just no longer writes code that works, and the text now seems clearly written by a bot, and it no longer seems to have that magic and unique feel that it once had. And after reading this, I felt the same way. I've been using ChatGPT Plus since it came out, and I too felt like it hasn't been giving me the novel and insightful information it once used to give me. So why is that? One theory I have is we're just getting more used to the types of information and styles that ChatGPT is spitting out, with classics such as "I hope this email finds you well" as an AI language model. But I feel this isn't quite the case. The real reason might actually go a lot deeper. Another explanation, and the one I believe to be true, is that ChatGPT's performance is actually getting worse. In June, the feeling that ChatGPT has been performing worse was just that, a feeling. But recently, there's been an article going around that might provide some proof of ChatGPT's pitfalls. The article, written by Stanford and UC Berkeley, tracked ChatGPT 3.5 and GPT-4's performance over the months spanning from March to June. And what they found was shocking. Each of the models' performance varies substantially over time, and sometimes even getting worse. In March of 2023, ChatGPT-4 was very good at identifying prime numbers, with an 84% accuracy. But by June, ChatGPT-4's accuracy dropped over 30 points to 51%, a huge drop-off in accuracy. And interestingly enough, ChatGPT 3.5 was actually better at identifying prime numbers, going from 49% in March 2023 to over 76% in June. So how is ChatGPT 3.5 doing better than 4? I thought the bigger number meant that it was better. In addition to ChatGPT 4 not being able to answer the prime number question, its length of generation also varied greatly over the course of the last few months. The researchers noted that ChatGPT 4 was generating fewer characters than before. Its verbosity score, which is the term for the number of characters that the chatbots can generate, went from 638 in March to now only 3.9 in June. A massive drop-off. It gave a giant paragraph explaining the answer to this question, and now it only gave a single word answer. But however, in ChatGPT 3.5, its score went from 730 to over 891. You can see in the generation it gave a lot more text. This seems to indicate that ChatGPT 4's performance has diminished dramatically. But keep in mind, this was only for the prime number prompt, so it's definitely not the overall picture. In another case, ChatGPT 4 also did worse when answering sensitive questions compared to its March counterpart, going from 21% to 5% accuracy and completion. All while ChatGPT 3.5 actually improved its accuracy and completion from 2% to 8%. So does this mean ChatGPT 3.5 is the way to go? Well, not quite. In another case, strictly testing these chatbots' ability to answer test questions, ChatGPT 4 seemed to do about the same, if not slightly worse, on answering medical test questions. But it was still overall much more accurate than ChatGPT 3.5, and that was by over 20 points. So what's the explanation for all these differences? Well, the researchers attribute this issue to something called AI drift. This happens when developers and researchers try to fine-tune the models by making improvements and adjustments. But while this may improve the functionality in some areas of ChatGPT, it's actually diminishing the quality of the responses in others. It's kind of like when you try to fix a leak in a pipe, but in fixing that part, you create a pressure buildup in a different part of the pipe, which causes a brand new leak somewhere else. But in this case, it's broken code and repetitive nonsense. But it's extremely important to note that this is just one study, and it's still far too early to determine how accurate this information is. But it does support the claim that ChatGPT is getting worse. But another possible explanation, and something that I think is more reasonable, is that OpenAI is just trying to cut costs, and it can do so by streamlining ChatGPT's generations. As a Reddit user points out, OpenAI is trying to provide the same quality of answers with less resources. So it didn't get dumber, it just got cheaper. But in doing so, it's made the overall quality of the responses a lot worse. A lot more streamlined, templatized, and overall, in my opinion, worse. And this honestly sounds reasonable, considering I am exactly one of those people that frequently maxes out my GPT-4 usage when I use it to generate code for my websites. They probably hate me, but at least they have those sweet Microsoft dollars to keep them afloat. Well, at least for the time being. Anyway, this seems to make the most logical sense. GPT-4 is very expensive, and it makes sense for power users to upgrade to the premium option so they can use this service as much as they want, which definitely makes those servers go brr. And this leads me to another finding. I don't use the API much, but I have been seeing people discussing that ChatGPT 4 and GPT 3.5 actually give better responses when you go through OpenAI's API. And this is something I recommend if you can get your code to work just by using the chatbot. Try asking your questions through the API. This theory makes sense because the API version of GPT is much more raw in its responses than its ChatGPT counterpart. The API version can be fine-tuned on whatever you want, which can allow you to get a much better response than the tool for the masses. But just note, you are getting billed every time you make a generation, and be careful because this can add up fast. But this means OpenAI can give users the best responses because it can charge an ever-increasing rate proportional to the amount of times you use it, unlike the flat fee with ChatGPT's interface. But enough paper talk and speculation. Let's put this to the test with some good old-fashioned anecdotal evidence. So there's a lot of debate going around that ChatGPT can't do simple math, and the reason that most people are giving is that it's a text prediction model and not a calculator. But if this stuff is going to replace my job, it should at least be able to do the bare minimum of a calculator. So let's see if this is true. We're gonna ask 69 times 420. And all right, ChatGPT did get this one correct. We'll do 567 times 8, 9, 10. And as you can see, just by upping the numbers up a little bit, it's off by nearly 1,200. So yeah, it's not that good at math. Let's try upping it one step further. We'll do 2, 3, 4, 5 times 6, 7, 8, 9. And once again, ChatGPT fails to give us the correct answer. All the numbers are actually correct, except for it said 27,000 when it should be only 20,000. So it was slightly off there. So yeah, it's confirmed ChatGPT can't do math. AI is not going to replace us just yet, guys. We have some hope. Let's ask for some text now. We'll ask, write me a warm email introducing myself. I hope this message finds you well. This line is absolutely dreaded. It answers the prompt and then it gives a template for an email with looks like 3 paragraphs. After reading it, this just seems super generic. I can't get over this. I hope this message finds you well statement. It seriously can't write anything more original than this. Let's see what happens if we put it in ChatGPT 3.5 instead. It writes a lot more information than GPT-4. You can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs as well as a final statement and some extra stuff. And I also like the fact that it just writes the email. It doesn't have any of the fluff around the top or the bottom that says, of course I can write you this email. Like, I know you can. That's what you're supposed to do. Just write the email. Let's try this last prompt. Let's actually put it into 4 and then also the API chatbot. I hope this message finds you well, basking in good vibe. You literally can't get away from that. I hope this message finds you well. I literally told it to make it unique and personalized. This line is going to give me PTSD in the future. Okay, so it gives a pretty fun email, lots of emojis. This is a very quirky email. So now we're in the API playground here, and what we'll do is input the same prompt, and we'll come over here and we'll click on the chat mode and then put it in GPT-4, and we'll keep the temperature setting on 1 and we'll submit. This is also like another generic email, and I don't think it was nearly as good as this one, which is kind of interesting because I thought it probably would have done better. Just for giggles, let's turn up the temperature to something like 1.69 and click submit. You gotta be careful when you play with the temperature because now it literally just gives me garbage. So after I recorded this video, I've been playing around with the API a lot more. And I have to say, if you play around with the temperature enough and you really fine tune your prompts, you can get some pretty good results. I definitely recommend checking this out. But once again, be very careful of those costs. So is ChatGPT getting worse? I'd argue the chat version, at least in its current state, is. Like I mentioned, I don't really feel the magic of the responses like it once used to give out. I definitely get the feeling that OpenAI is trying to turn ChatGPT into more of an actual product. A product that is faster and cheaper with the same yet diminishing quality to appeal to the masses. So much for being a nonprofit. But let me know what you think down in the comments. Do you feel ChatGPT is getting dumber? I would love to know. I read all of your comments, so be sure to leave one down below. Also, while you're down there, feel free to hit the like button and subscribe for more automation and AI insights. It really does help out the channel. Thank you so much to everyone who's already subscribed. And check out this video here where I put ChatGPT, Bard, and Bing to the ultimate test to see which is the best chatbot you should be using. But anyway, that's gonna be it for me in this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.